Um, Peace and blessings, family. Sister Hodgley. I think Brittney Griner was ground down in Russia. Okay, I'm just saying. I have no proof thereof whatsoever. I said I think. But Russia has a very professional record of brainwashing people. And what I read in The Crime of Chernobyl that they did to Dr. Yuri Bandashevsky when they imprisoned him completely falsely, they brought up eyewitnesses, and that's all in quotes, eyewitnesses, who accused him of taking bribes. And at the very hearing, all the witnesses got up and said, they're forcing me to say this. I didn't see this at all. But if I don't testify that I saw the defendant taking bribes, then I'm going to lose my job. My family's going to lose all their jobs. We're going to be kicked out onto the streets. Horrible things are going to happen to everybody. And so even with them recanting their confessions that they saw him do this, they still convicted him. They still convicted him. And so I'm not saying whether or not she actually didn't, she wasn't caught with weed, but maybe she didn't have any weed, but don't matter with them, okay? And so I think when Bandashevsky was actually in prison, they were trying to get him to just write out a full confession, which kudos to him. He never did, even though it almost broke him because they had, little agent friends just kind of hug up to the family, and then they started whispering little backstabbing lies into the ear so that they wouldn't go visit him as much, and for a good period of time they didn't. And then in the prison they had other people whispering in his ear so that he would think that his wife was just like traitor to him and nobody loved him. He was getting thousands of letters, and they kept the letters from him. And so when I see Brittney coming on out here saying she thinks it's a crime to ban men pretending to be women, men who need serious therapy, all of a sudden, just when the obvious ridiculousness, the crime of having these men go in and steal the accolades that are due to women based on our biology, it's just such a perfect timing that I'm sure they saw. Like, I was talking against this myself and lots of other people for quite a long time now. And so I wonder if they just because these people don't give a damn about nobody. And so they're just we need, like we always see, they need to blacken up this assault where they have everybody still in chaos and confusion. And so what a perfect thing to have the black woman confused. This also reminds me, they've got so many black lesbian women in key areas that completely overrides the minuscule percentage of black women who are lesbians. But you got Joe Biden with his chick, Katrina, whatever, I don't know what her name is, because I deliberately avoid anything related to her, and how she just justifies the lunacy of Joe Biden. And then they got Lori Lightfoot, and Joe Biden even picked, what's the dude's name? Sam Brinton. He just got fired, and that's because of all of the more than likely extremely racist, but I ain't mad at you if we have two separate countries, okay? But the white conservatives who were just screaming for him to be fired. He admitted guilt of stealing these really, really obnoxious bags, and which would suit him completely, but Biden picked him to be head of nuclear safety. What a perfect pick. This dude is in love with lying. So I'm not saying that black lesbians necessarily would be in love with lying, but they're already lying to themselves in so many ways that we've been driven out of our minds that they might not even be aware of. And it basically comes down to a deep-seated fear of men, and black men specifically, because that's the only men that we as women are built to unite with and to find complete satisfaction in the way that is fully human. Because the Disney and the hella weird has given us this idea that everything's supposed to be just absolutely perfect. You're never going to have any problems, any issues. But if that were the case, then the devil wouldn't exist. Okay. So I can't even say I concluded, but I am speculating that this chick was worked on. Because when I see a black person, like they had Lupe Fiasco, all of a sudden he went down to Australia and then he came back supporting the whole injectable thing. Like it was a sign of our stupidity if we actually asked intelligent questions. I stopped listening dead cold when he did that to any Lupe Fiasco rap, and he was my favorite rapper. I was just so disappointed in him. And then we've also had situations where Umar went to Japan. When I saw that, I was like, why is he going to Japan? Because also Amy Irving, who in my firm conclusion is a total operative, Amy Goodman, Amy Irving, I don't mean the actress, but Amy Goodman went down to Japan also, like almost directly after Fukushima. And I just looked at that and I said, oh boy, because I'd known she was, in my conclusion, an operative to begin with. Just based on her getting her fancy studio, and she was supposed to be an alternative for the folks who woke up enough to leave NPR alone. So she suddenly showed up at the Democratic convention and everybody's like, who the heck is this chick? And then she has this big old fancy studio and she's interviewing all of these, black activists. It's like, and these are just like has-been activists, and everything she brings up is just has-been topics. So when I see someone going off suddenly overnight to another country, I just know they're getting in better indoctrination. I've seen, even, I don't know, I'm just saying, when Cynthia G suddenly says, I'm off to Washington, D.C., yeah, I've also wondered about that. So, yeah, that's my just general beware alert, because they need us to. We've rejected Silly Porter, but for the white races, it doesn't really matter as long as they can present us as supporting this nonsense. Like when I read the book Game of Thrones, and they had this Black Island. It wasn't all of the continent of Black Africa, but it was this little island. But this island, we were all about free love. I was like, oh my goodness, are they ever doing their best to just present us as like we are Weimar Germany, Sin City Berlin, and we would never engage in the level of nastiness that these folks are just really trying to be out and about with it. Like, these are participants in a Dutch TV show called Simply Naked, where they disrobe completely naked in front of children. And the host of the show is a biracial, white, black-like man. This dude right here, which is exactly what I'm saying, that they need to get cool points to promote this lunacy, but also they want to deflect the righteous outrage of every nationality and race out there, because the overwhelming majority of people don't want anything to do with this. And so they're putting black us up there so everybody can suddenly say, it's these black people's fault, when How is it we were once designated as most homophobic people on the planet, and God bless you, Ghana, and now all of a sudden we're promoting every type of degeneracy? No, this is being orchestrated. Of course, and it's an audience of children. So they also had an episode where there were trans surgicalized folks up there trying to explain away surgical mesh procedures. I didn't listen to the show. I'm not interested in listening to it. But I'm just saying, they in Germany, they've got freaking penis parks for children. They're trying to normalize lunacy because the elites, they engage in all kinds of deviant behaviors, but they also are more powerful if they drive all of us out of our minds. So we're just responding to everything from a reptilian basis, and even worse than reptiles, because I'm sure reptiles don't think about sex constantly, but they got all of us out here primping and prancing about looking for the next booty hookup, when there are a huge percentage of us who are living wonderful, blissful lives, sane lives, and we know this is bullcrap.
Oh my God, I almost forgot. The swirler who got picked for the Supreme Court, who had the nerve to get in front of a congressional hearing, whatever the heck, and say she didn't know what the definition of a woman is. I was like, can you see the agenda? Can you see the war strategy? Where it makes me think of Candace Owens, who's out there promoting Nazism. They have driven some of us clean out our minds.
All right? I love your family. Go to 25,000. Yes, psycho. Matter of fact, here you go. I know you may not read books. You could do a free consultation with Dr. Z in order to find out how to completely detox so you are absorbing your full nutrition, which will help you fight radiological contamination, because it's in the food. But I do know, if you don't yet feel comfortable getting my books, you could get this soap right here. Pure, gentle products. The fragrances are not artificial. They're real, and they're soothing to your constitution, to your serenity. What better thing to do than to wake up, or some people take their bath at the end of the day, but what better time to be just surrounded by love and not by the folks who manufacture these products that when you do the research, you're like, oh, no, you didn't, which will be my next share. Dirty daggone soap, okay? All right, I love you. Straight black family pride, and we are there. Peace and blessings.